What's up, guys? We're back today with some NFL content, but don't worry, my MLB picks for today are in the pinned comment below and also in a community post every day. In this video, we are going to break down each team in the AFC North, and I will give you my early Week 1 bets for their games. Before we jump into these breakdowns, do me a big favor and hit that like button, guys. It only takes 1 second and helps out the channel a ton. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can notify you about new videos and anytime we go live. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports, including NFL preseason premium content. Get in there now for maximum value. Comment below with what you're thinking about these teams or anything coming up for this NFL season, or any questions you have about today's MLB games. We respond to every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Now let's take a look at the Baltimore Ravens, who come into the season fresh off of a 13-4 campaign last year. They eventually lost to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, so that had to feel a little bit rough. Overall, this team has been having a pretty good time recently under John Harbaugh. Lots of good things to say about them. I mean, big hopes that the addition here of Derrick Henry will help push this offense into the stratosphere, guys. This has been a very Lamar Jackson-centric offense. Pretty much, he'd had to carry the entire load. He's got to carry them. If he doesn't, this offense was going pretty much nowhere. So we'll see what the addition of Derrick Henry will do if he's not too old and if he can stay healthy. That will take a lot of pressure off of Lamar Jackson, and it will definitely limit the constant physical toll like that his aggressive running style has to take on his body over the course of a long season. Like, you can just see this dude get worn down as the year goes on, and he's a physical specimen, guys. Like, if anybody can hold up to it, it's him. But man, that's a big ask for him to take such a pounding over the course of the regular season and then still have stuff left in the tank to play against the toughest defenses, the toughest opponents when the games are the most important. So we'll see how that works. There are some pretty significant questions about this offensive line, though. I mean, they lost pretty much the entire right side of their unit, and they're going to need the 2nd and 7th round picks that they picked up to really be able to fill those gaps, and they're projected starters in those positions. So we'll see how they look. I'm sure they'll get maybe a little bit of run there in the preseason to get them ready to go, but yeah, it's going to be important that they stay healthy, so I don't think they'll be given too much exposure in the exhibition slate. But overall, this is an offense that I feel okay about under the assumption that that offensive line is going to be okay. I think it's going to be a very run-centric team, but yeah, I mean, if Derrick Henry can really have a good season, like he could put up some crazy numbers for this team, I think that passing game all of a sudden is going to open back up, and there's going to be plenty of room for Lamar Jackson to run, and maybe he can take a few less hits. Maybe we can see a few more, like slides, just get down, don't take the big hit, don't get destroyed out there, because him staying healthy, absolutely critical for the success of this team. Like, if he is not healthy out there, guys, this offense is going nowhere. They do not have a deep quarterback stable either. Like, he goes down, there is nobody coming in to rescue this team that I think is going to be even close to replacement level. So yeah, a lot on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson once again, but maybe not quite as much this season as we saw a year ago. So a lot is going to remain here on the shoulders of this Ravens defense that more than up to the task last season. One of the best defenses in the National Football League, led here by defensive coordinator Zach Orr. He's taking over from Mike McDonald, who left in the offseason to become the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So can't blame him too much for jumping ship there and getting his own job to run his own team. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Zach Orr been with this franchise for a while. I think he can step into that void, and I don't think we're going to see too much of a downturn, at least for that reason. I mean, Orr's been with the Ravens for the majority of his career. This unit was so dominant last season, it kind of feels like they might be due for a little bit of regression, but that seems like kind of a big guess here, because man, there's very few weaknesses that I see on this Ravens defense. Like, they've been very good for, I mean, historically, this is just a great unit, and it wasn't any different last season. They were dominant out there. So definitely expecting good things from this defense once again this season if they can stay healthy. And yeah, guys, that brings us right into looking at their Week 1 matchup, which is a pretty exciting one, guys. It's the season opener on Thursday Night Football. The Ravens are going on the road to take on the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs there at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs are -3 points in this game. They're a 3-point favorite. So yeah, the Ravens getting 3 in this game against the Super Bowl champions, who might have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover coming into this one. I would say at least Travis Kelce's probably had a pretty busy offseason. Things are looking good here for the Chiefs, though. They seem like they're pretty dedicated here. They're definitely trying to go for another Super Bowl ring. Mahomes seems dedicated to his pursuit of Brady. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we're going to see a good Chiefs team here right out of the gate. We got an over-under of 46.5 in this game, which you could definitely talk me into maybe a look at the under here. I mean, thinking the Chiefs offense might take some time to get going. going. They've got a lot of moving pieces out there. How good is Kelsey going to be in another season? Is Mahomes really going to be ready to go right out of the gate? So yeah, you could maybe take a look at under 46.5, especially if the Ravens are able to successfully run the ball in this one. And if you're taking that over, I could definitely wrap my head around the idea of taking the Ravens at +3. Like, they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be, pretty fired up for this game after getting knocked out by the Chiefs there in the playoffs. So yeah, I think maybe a slight lean towards the Ravens, but maybe a slightly bigger lean than that towards that under 46.5. That seems like some pretty decent value to me. Next up here in the AFC North, guys, we're going to be looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that is poised for a big bounce back after a very disappointing season last year. They finished things up 9-8 and missed the playoffs. It was an injury-riddled season for Joe Burrow, so Zach Taylor definitely hoping that he can lead his troops to a better season here in 2024. Yeah, Joe Burrow being at 100% for the beginning of the season is an absolute must for this team. They cannot afford those slow starts out here. They're in a very, very competitive environment right now. They're not going to have a lot of cupcake wins out there. He's going to need to be playing well immediately, and he has to stay healthy through training camp and into the regular season. So that's going to be the number one focus of this team. They got off to an extremely slow start last year. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be looking to have successful seasons once again. These are two premier level wide receivers, so I think we'll see good stuff from them. No reason to expect otherwise. They've got a very good quarterback out there throwing them the ball, assuming he's fully healthy and he can make it through everything he needs to make it through in training camp. That will be a good look, but we're also going to see what they can get out of rookie Jermaine Burton. That could be a pretty big deal out there. I think it could be, you ended up with a three-headed monster of a wide receiver core. That can be a huge deal. So we're also looking at Mike Gesicki to have a big season here potentially. Having a solid tight end option for Burrow is definitely going to help. Definitely not going to hurt anything. Open things up a little bit for those amazing wide receivers out there on the edges. To have a safety valve there in the middle is going to be a huge help. So yeah, Burrow going to be letting it fly this season. His numbers should be great as long as he can stay healthy. Expecting big stuff from him. This offense really going to have to stay after it, though. This is not going to be an easy season, and they're going to need to get out of the gates quick. On the defensive side of the ball, guys, we've got defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. This Cincinnati defense, guys, they regressed a little bit last season, no doubt about it, but if they can start out the season healthy, this should not be a bad unit, I don't think. They should be solid on this side of the ball. That's very important here in the AFC North. There's some reason to be concerned. We might have a slight lack of experience in the secondary, but being the 21st best defense in the league last season in terms of points allowed, there is lots of reason to expect the Bengals to improve on that side of the ball, and they made some interesting additions. Sheldon Rankins comes to mind. That should help them, especially with a reasonable strength of schedule this year. This is going to be a team that is a little bit scary to face. There's reason to think they could climb the standings here. Joe Burrow has a lot to prove coming into this season after a slightly ineffective and a very injury-riddled season a year ago. So yeah, not a lot of bad stuff. Not a lot in general news coming out of the Bengals here in training camp and in the preseason, and that's definitely what you want to hear. You don't want to hear a ton going on in training camp, guys. You just want guys heads down, dedicated to their job, getting after it out there on the practice field and getting strong, getting ready for the season, because it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a grind, and especially in the AFC North, guys, they're going to need health and they're going to need effective play from all the important positions. So we'll see what we get from the Bengals in the season overall. In week 1, guys, we're looking at their matchup between the New England Patriots and the Cincinnati Bengals. So you can't really ask for much more of a better, way to start the season except for getting to take on the Patriots. The Bengals are going to be at home for this game as well. We see the Bengals at -9, guys, and the Patriots at +9 is actually a little bit appealing to me. I don't think I like the Bengals -9 in this spot too much, just under the impression that we could see another slow start from Joe Burrow, and I do think the Patriots are being slightly undervalued. They're not going to be a good team, don't get me wrong, but maybe in week 1, everybody's got a little bit of hope out there. So yeah, I don't hate the Patriots at +9 in this game, and if you are interested in the Patriots +9, I do think it's worth taking a look at that under 42.5 as well. But yeah, the Bengals are a good team. I think they're going to have a high-powered offense. If it gets off to a slow start, they could have some trouble in week 1. I don't think they're going to be covering a huge number like 9, but we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of things can change between now and week 1, but right now, guys, those are pretty much my early leans in the week 1 matchup here for the Bengals. I don't think I like them at -9. I think I like their opponents more at +9, and I'm leaning towards under 42.5. Next on the docket here, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Browns. They come into this season under head coach Kevin Stefanski. They had a shockingly successful, maybe not shockingly, but at least a little bit surprisingly successful season a year ago, going 11-6 overall. They eventually lost to Houston, and the wild card round in a blowout game, but it's not exactly like Cleveland was at full strength. I mean, missing Deshaun Watson there is, not a great look, and having to lean on Joe Flacco there, maybe not the easiest situation. But coming into this season, guys, looking at the offense here, we're fairly excited to see Deshaun Watson likely to be key to this offense finding significant success. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty big shock to him and the Cleveland Brass. I would assume that Joe Flacco was able to step into the gap left by his injury last season and find some pretty successful stuff out there. Like Joe Flacco, 1,000 years old, looking good out there, just slinging it. Obviously, Nick Chubb being back in action, looking dominant once again, will be a very important situation here for the Browns to monitor. Hopefully they can have him back and healthy. And adding Jerry Jeudy, I think that'll help a bit. Not super high on this wide receiver core though, guys. I mean, definitely could use a little bit of a boost. Not a ton of guys out there that I think are going to be amazing, but every season we see guys come out of nowhere. So maybe something like that could happen for Cleveland this year. But really, even if somebody is looking amazing out there, how good is Deshaun Watson going to be this season under center? Like, definitely a guy that I have some question marks about, not just his moral character, but just in general, what do we expect to see from Deshaun Watson this year, assuming that he can stay healthy? I mean, they paid him an ungodly amount of money to get him to come to Cleveland, and he really hasn't shown a great return on that investment. So definitely this season going to be a time for him to step up. So we'll see what they get out of their offense this season. Obviously, they're going to be a team that wants to run the ball, so health is going to be important, and the offensive line being good. So all of those things put together could equal this being a decent offensive team. But guys, what we're really interested in here for Cleveland is their defense, guys. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz leading the way for them. The defense was the biggest strength of this team down the stretch last season. I mean, a fantastic season for Myles Garrett, who won Player of the Year. He's not alone on this loaded unit, though, guys. And the idea is that really, no matter how bad the offense might look at times, this defense should keep this team in pretty much every single game. I mean, tons of strengths here. Myles Garrett is an absolute game changer, guys. He can totally destroy an opponent's offense. It feels like he can be by himself out there and just manhandle guys, breaking through double teams. Like, Myles Garrett, an absolute monster. So expecting definite good stuff here from this defense, no doubt about that. It's going to have to be good, though. I don't really have that much faith in their offense under Deshaun Watson. I could be proven wrong. Definitely a possibility, guys, but not loving the early returns on this team in the preseason. And yeah, we'll just see what we get from them. We'll see what we get from this offense, but the defense under Jim Schwartz and with Myles Garrett out there, I'm expecting very, very good stuff. So looking at their week one matchup, guys, they're taking on a team that's had a good amount of what's the right word? Just trouble, guys. Just trouble in the preseason for the Dallas Cowboys. The week one matchup is the Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns, who are -1.5 in this game. We've got an over-under of 44 in this one. So generally speaking, in this spot, guys, I'm not too high on the Cowboys. This could obviously change over the course of the preseason. Maybe I see some stuff I like. Maybe we see that deal with CeeDee Lamb get signed. That's been a huge point of drama for this Cowboys team, but not loving what I'm seeing from the Cowboys and not hearing a ton of negative stuff out of Cleveland right now. I mean, obviously some things can remain up in the air, but not loving what I'm seeing from Dallas. It seems like they got worse over the offseason. So generally speaking, I'm at least slightly leaning towards the Browns at home in this game. I think there's a good chance they find a way to get the win here with their defense looking very, very good and the offense managing to get it done against a Cowboys defense that, yeah, maybe a little bit up in the air right now. So generally speaking, leaning towards the Browns in this game. In terms of the over-under, I mean, 44 seems like a lot of points. Cleveland is a very good defensive team that I don't expect them to be an amazing offensive team. So I could definitely wrap my head around siding with the under in this spot as well. Like, yeah, just given offense possibly being at a premium, both teams that are going to, I mean, I don't know if Dallas is really going to want to run the ball, but if we see a disgruntled CeeDee Lamb out there and they're in like some sort of weird contract dispute, like, I don't know how effective their passing game is going to be. So yeah, definitely a chance this could be a running and defensive centric game here. So taking the under makes some sense. And I also like, in a messy defensive minded game, the Cleveland Browns a decent amount. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who come into this year fresh off of another consistently successful season under head coach Mike Tomlin. Got to be getting some consideration as one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. I mean, the dude has never had a losing record, and yeah, 10-7 last season. They made it into the wild card, eventually lost to the Bills. Not a lot of shame in that, though. The Steelers were not at 100% for that game, and yeah, injuries definitely can take their toll at the end of the season, but man, there is so much reason for intrigue and drama around this team, guys. They had one of the craziest off seasons here, getting Russell Wilson and then also acquiring Justin Fields. So really, we could end up with some actual quarterback controversy here. I mean, Wilson did not look good in Denver last season. Oh my God. Yeah. Broncos, let's ride. That's got to just sting the eardrums of every Denver Broncos fan. And yeah, Justin Fields, there's plenty of reason to have optimism about this guy, an absolute freak athlete. So yeah, I'm not sure how big of a difference it's going to make for this team really in the long run, who they end up starting. I mean, they're going to want to focus on defense and the running game, but man, if you're trying to focus on the running game, I know a quarterback that can run the ball pretty well, and that's Justin Fields. Russell Wilson getting a little bit older up there, and obviously, I don't want to say he's a locker room cancer, but does not seem like a guy that the dudes in the locker room really identify with much. So I could definitely see this team liking, just generally speaking in terms of just like Justin Fields. So we'll see what happens with that entire quarterback controversy, guys. We've got a new offensive coordinator coming in here as Arthur Smith. He might have his work cut out for him juggling those two egos. And with George Pickens ready for a big season and a solid running back duo, this offense could actually be better than people think. I mean, I don't think they're going to have the craziest passing game, but overall, I do think this is an offense that I've got a decent amount of faith in. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I think I'll honestly have more faith in them if Justin Fields is the one under center. Really just cannot get the image of all those horrendous things I saw Russell Wilson doing there for Denver last season out of my head. Like, I'm scarred. Anybody that watched those games, probably a little bit scarred. As you can tell, personally, not a big Russell Wilson fan. Don't think we're going to see good stuff from him this season. But hey, I could be proven wrong. Maybe a change of venue is exactly what he needed. So a lot of the success of this team is going to hinge on what they get out of their defense, guys. We've got Terrell Austin leading this team. They've got TJ Watt, guys. That's a pretty nice name to have there in terms of a defensive player, guys. TJ Watt, when healthy, an absolute game breaker. If they can keep him on the field, great things tend to happen for the Steelers. That's a big deal. His health, I don't know what they could possibly do. I mean, this is an insanely physical guy playing an insanely physical sport and an insanely physical position in that sport. So I don't know if they're really going to be able to do anything to guard him from injuries, but they should definitely be trying because he is the key to this all working. They also made some pretty solid additions, picking up Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott with a full offseason to get healthy. There's every reason to think this unit is going to be even better than a year ago when they were clearly a top 5 or 6 defense in the entire league, at least in my opinion. So yeah, definitely expecting some very solid stuff from this defense. And I mean, it's the Steelers, guys. Their defense is one thing they hang their hat on too. I mean, Mike Tomlin out there, he's not going to be trying to lead a weak defensive team. So if they can stay healthy, definitely think this is a team that is going to be extremely hard to score against. And looking at their week 1 opponent, guys, they could be in for a team they're maybe able to hold down a little bit. I mean, we've got the Steelers going on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons, who come into this game as a 2.5-point favorite, which a little bit crazy to me. We've got an over-under of 43 in this game. The Steelers are obviously going to be looking to get after Kirk Cousins, who's reportedly not going to be playing in the preseason, although he also reportedly wanted to be playing, so that's a little bit weird, but I totally get it. They're not looking to rush a guy back coming off of an Achilles injury, but coming off of Achilles injury, we'll see how Aaron Rodgers looks, and we're also going to see how Kirk Cousins looks, because that is a very tough injury to come back from. So we'll see how effective the Falcons can be out there against the Steelers defense, but generally speaking in this game, I mean, if we see that number get up to the Steelers +3, I might actually like the Steelers on the road in this spot. I mean, Cousins going to be in a completely different foreign situation. Yeah, I don't know. The Falcons aren't necessarily a team that I'm super high on, but we'll get to their breakdown eventually, guys. Things could change, but overall, in this spot, I think I have a slight lean towards the Steelers at +2.5, and definitely a lean towards them if it gets to up to +3. The over-under of 43 in this game, I don't have a ton of stuff to say about that. I mean, not in love with either offense in this situation, so I might take a look at that under 43, but not really a spot that I think I love. Obviously, we're a long way out, guys. Lots of things could change here, but overall, leaning a bit towards the Steelers and a bit towards the under 43. That is my week 1, very small lean for this matchup. That's everything we have here for the AFC North, guys. Hit the like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any NFL questions you have, and don't forget to check out the community post and the pinned comment for my daily MLB predictions. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.